Live from Northern California?
No, I can tell.
Still Southern California.
Yeah, I could have told you that's not Northern California. No.
This is the longest move in history.
Yeah, and it's going to extend even longer. It's kind of a nightmare, but I'm just going with it. I'm going with it.
Yeah, I need like a video tour of your. I know you described it to us one day. I actually think it was after the show you described it to us. But every time you take a picture in one of your wild foofy dresses with the book, and you're in this like gigantic window, and like it looks like something Tommy Egan would have. Like it looks like something out of New York.
It looks like a Sawyer penthouse.
That's right. But yeah, I need a video tour of your spot there.
I will give it to you, but it will not be for public dissemination.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine, because if you're actually moving, your place should look like hell right now. I just don't think any of us believe that you're moving anymore. You've been lying to us.
I'll show you some hell. I've got hell. I've got hell down here. I've got hell up there. Life has been a little hellish, but it's for a good reason. Good things are happening. It's, the move is always kind of chaotic. Plus, I've got some doctors here, specialists that are working with me. So there's a lot of back and forth. I'm trying to get whole and healthy and ready to rumble. So I'm just trying to be patient. Like I said, go with the flow. And in due time, I will be permanently in Northern California.
All right.
Can we, I don't think we've ever done this before. Can we plug your book real quick? Because you're doing something, really dope with your book right now.
Yes, thank you. That's very kind of you. So we've talked about the branding stuff that I do in general, like some of the corporate teams and stuff that I work with. But I worked with Vistaprint. You guys have heard of Vistaprint, right? Like you get your business cards there. I worked with them for a number of months. I actually wrote an advice column for them, for small businesses, entrepreneurs. And then we turned it into a book. It's called Ask Olivia. And I answer questions that I've been generally asked as I've built my entrepreneurial journey. And this month, because it's Women's History Month, I am giving away a book to nonprofits that are serving women and girls. For every copy that is purchased, a copy is donated. I'm working with groups like Dress for Success. You all likely have heard of them. It's a place where women who are in need of clothing so they can go to interviews feeling confident. I'm equipping them with this book, and I'm doing workshops for those women as well. They're all over the world. But I'm looking for people to support this because I am an entrepreneur, which means I'm not independently wealthy. I work for myself. It is a grind. I'm like, if I could give all the books away, I would. But I think at this point, the most I can do in terms of giving them out is if somebody purchases one, then I can give them away. So if you go to my website, oliviachristian.co, you can find a link to the audiobook or the hard copy. And it'd be wonderful if you supported this little strategy, this campaign that I've got going.
That's dope. That's really dope. Did you always envision yourself being an author, writing a book? Like, was this something that you were like, I'm going to do that one day?
No, I mean, honestly, even this stuff that I'm doing with a lot of the corporations, I didn't plan it this way. My early career was very different. I didn't plan a career in sports either. I don't have a broadcasting degree. But at a certain point, I decided to just do the things that I love, try to figure out how to make it work. And it's been up and down. It's been, feast and famine. But in addition to talking about being like going with the flow with the moving, it's the same thing with being an entrepreneur. Like as opportunities unfold and open up, I kind of just like walk through the door. I had no intention of working with Vistaprint for like a year and a half. We were going to do this 3-month thing, and I just kept going and kept going. And they kept saying, do you want to do more? How about an advice column? How about a book? And I'm just like, yes. So it's been amazing. It's been cool.
And that's why we went to Olivia. Olivia, how about a radio show? Yes. Olivia doesn't say no to anything. You just say, hey, Olivia, yes, of course. I'll do a book. I'll do a TV show. I'll do a radio show. Let's do it all.
I'm down.
Let's do everything. Do you get into the NCAA? We'll get to the Kings. We got Give and Go with Maybach, all of that good stuff on the way. Do you get into to either tournament? Do you get into the men's and women's college basketball tournament?
Yes. And I have to say, don't really get into the NCAA basketball at all until around March Madness. I mean,
that's most people. Most people lie about being. They're all lying except Kenny. Kenny's very much telling the truth. But most people get excited and watch.
Northridge.
That's right. Kenny watches obscure games all year.
I really watched a lot of Long Beach State this year. I really.
You are like my dad. My dad will be like, yeah, there's a good high school game going. I'm going to go watch the high school game. Your youngest child is in her 40s. He likes to like know what's going on and see the up and comers and who's going to go to like San Jose State or make it to UCLA. Like he likes to do that stuff. I do not have the time to keep track of all that stuff, but I played basketball in high school. So the teams that I loved during that time are the teams that I still watch: Stanford, Tennessee. I hated Connecticut. I continue to hate Connecticut. I will never like Connecticut. But I get excited around tournament time for both the men and the women's bracket.
I don't know if we talked about this or not. I feel like we might have, but even if we didn't, what position did you play?
I was a point guard.
Okay, PG. Okay, the floor general. Were you like were you a yeller at your teammates?
Oh yeah, you see how aggressive I am on this show, and how I want the Kings to be more aggressive. I was definitely a yeller. I played with a great group of young girls in high school. They were amazing. I was the least talented, but I knew what we should do. I couldn't always execute it. I didn't have great handles, but I was great beyond the stripe. I could shoot threes. I could shoot lights out. But I'm so short, so I had to get open. I had to have wide open threes. Otherwise, you could easily block me. But yeah, like watching, like when I watch the women's tournament now, it just makes me feel like I'm in high school again. And I'm watching these girls get after it. I like how aggressive they are. And I like watching teams where the coach is going wild, but not like cussing the players out. The coach is going wild. The women on the court are going wild. And I especially like it when the women have like, these days they have like 6-inch nails and lashes and the makeup isn't even running. I'm like, girl, I don't know how
the Coopers of the world.
It's amazing. So I'm going to root for anybody who can do all of that while looking like they're having an Instagram photo shoot right after.
Well, these women know, we are in the era of NIL. Let's get some endorsements while we're out there playing. Like, let's go. I'm all for it. I can't imagine. Everybody talked about like how much would Reggie Bush have made? How much would these different guys have made if they played in the NIL era? Dude, Skylar Diggins would be a millionaire multiple times over if that NIL was alive when she was at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You know what? In thinking about the NIL, I don't know if you guys watched Bomani Jones's new show on HBO. Did you talk about that at all?
I haven't watched it yet. It was I saw it there when I went to watch the latest episode of Winning Time, but I haven't watched. By the way, have you watched Winning Time?
Yes, I just caught up. I like to kind of let a couple episodes.
No doubt. I need your thoughts on Jerry West.
Oh, whoa.
just curious on your thoughts on Jerry West.
Well, let's put that in the back pocket. Let's talk about Jerry West, because I want to talk about the NIL really quickly since you brought it up, because I've been having this conversation with my brother because he's a big Bomani fan. But when NIL happened, like people were rejoicing. It's huge. Now these athletes can make money. And Bomani was like, all we did was give these athletes another job. They're students, they're athletes, and now we're asking them to be spokespeople. Like they have to go out there and hustle for like a car dealership or a nail technician or something. And it's amazing that they can now make money, but it's taking away even more time for what we say we care about, which is, making sure they get an education. What we really need to continue to be focused on is getting the NCAA to play them for their job they are already doing. So as much as like it's exciting that they have that opportunity, especially for those folks who are, talented in other areas and they're also an athlete, like maybe they write poetry. Now they can sell those books and things and not get, dinged by the NCAA. That's wonderful. But we can't take our foot off the gas with the NCAA. We need to figure that out still.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. I guess I looked at it now as, if they're approached, they don't have to turn it down.
Yeah,
And that's a step. Like you said, it's just a step. But I mean, this NCAA tournament that we talk about, NILs, they're making that 20 times over with what's going to be going on over the next month. And they should still get a piece of that as well.
It's progress. But I mean, I was excited initially too. I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot. That's not what we were going for. We were going for this other thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too, because they think that it's going to stall out, boosters and NCAA violations, and it'll even the playing field. And perhaps if you have, a rich oilman at random part of the country here, perhaps that school becomes more, attractive, when actuality, it adds more money, because that's not going to stop booster guy A from still lining your pocket for something else. Like
Right.
it's not like NCAA violations are going to suddenly stop. And then I think until those violations are brought back into the forefront and all those things are going wrong in the conversations about paying these athletes, it's almost disingenuous to refer to them as student athletes now. But until we get to the point of paying these athletes, that conversation that you just brought up, that's on the back burner right now.
Yeah.
And especially when you've got, I mean, who was it? What was it? Mikey Williams just signed a shoe deal.
Yeah.
There's a Cooper Manning's boy they think is going to make millions multi times over before he even gets to school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not gonna. NCAA thinks they fixed the problem.
They just
They
kick
the can down the road. That's what they think they've done.
That's what they did. I'm of the belief that as soon as maybe not so much in basketball, but definitely in football, as soon as these Power Fives say, "What do we need the NCAA for anymore?"
Yep.
Then NCAA will be dead, because the Power Fives could say, "We're going to start the College Football Alliance League and not even be associated with the NCAA," and they'd be good. You know what I mean? So I think the NCAA kind of saw that coming down the horizon. It was like, oh, we'll try to give them a little something to kind of cloud their judgment or keep them to stay. But like you guys say, it's not over.
But all athletes, all leagues, collegiate and professional, they have the ability to do that. They have the ability to take control over these governing bodies because they're the talent. They can demand certain things. And we've talked about this in the past. The NBA does a really great job of making sure their guys are taken care of. When there are things happening in the world and you want to shut the NBA down, no games because we want to pay respect to that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Their Players Association, they're well represented, the athletes in that league. And I think as more athletes become empowered, they feel like they can use their voices and they can work collectively, they can start running things. But it's a decision, right? It has to be everybody on board. And right now, there's still a lot of people who are dominating different leagues. And because the money is raining in for them, they don't really care about everybody else. They've got a small window of time to cash in, and that's what they're focused in on. And that's why it's taking so long for these incremental things to be happening in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that's such a great point. The WNBA, they recently did a collective bargaining agreement in which max contracts, which contracts in general, I don't want to say they skyrocketed, but there was a significant increase in what max money was and what minimum money was. And I remember like Liz Cambridge was really offended by Becky Hammond's coaching deal with Las Vegas, which I completely understand. I completely understand why she's frustrated with it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, she's talking about like, hey, these max contracts are, $260,000 or whatever they are. Yeah. You know what they were when Kara was playing fam? They were 120. Mm. Yeah. So you've had an increase of $140,000 within the last 7 years. But the point being is, when you bark loud enough, you're going to get a response. Mm-hmm. And that bark to increase salaries has been going on for long. They started to increase. They need to increase more, drastically more, perhaps to keep your star players out of different countries here in the off season where they could potentially be detained as some sort of political prisoner. We want to try to avoid that in the future, but you've got to continue to make that noise. And I think that's and you hit the nail on the head. The NCAA is just doing something to try to quiet that noise.
And you know what, and thinking about the NCAA and the women's tournament that I'm getting excited about, I was remembering last year, I think it was last year. And it's always funny that it's in March, which is Women's History Month, but something always kind of happens to be like, dang, this stuff, women are still dealing with these things. Last year's tournament, they talked a lot about the inconsistencies and how the men's tournament was promoted and what the women's tournament players were given, like the hotel rooms and the mystery meet. And just like the inequality, like they're both making a lot of money. The NCAA is making money hand over fist, but how they're investing in the women's game, it was just way imbalanced.
Right.
And I remember it only got attention because, one, the world was shut down, just like other things that happened that came to light because the world was shut down. People were on TikTok and they were making videos about it. The player from Oregon was making TikTok videos saying, like, this is our weight room. And they had like 1 5-pound dumbbell and they had this little corner. It was crazy. People were like, what? This is outrageous. And I remember I was watching one of the, I think it was the second round game, and on the center court, it said women's basketball, as if we didn't know what we're watching. It didn't say March Madness. It didn't say, like, you know, Final Four or whatever it was. It just said women's basketball, just to make it clear. They weren't even branding where they were. They weren't using the ability to put logos and things on the court and make money in that way. They just didn't care. And I don't know what's going to happen this year. I know there've been a lot of conversations since then. They were trying to, you know, give them some equity here. Dick Sports last year had to step in and ship in some weights and give them a weight room, and other people came in and brought them sandwiches. It's like, the NCAA has money. You do not need outside corporations like supplementing this. Just do the work.
Yeah.
And if people don't watch, you know, they may not get the same numbers, but they get enough numbers to, you know, not give them mystery.
Oh, they can. Yeah, don't be fooled by this. Don't convince yourself that the WNBA or the NCAA, they're not broke. None of them are broke. And the NCAA, like Kenny's so on point, the NCAA is very, 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 very literally the most useless organization on the planet. Like, and I don't mean useless in the way they don't do enough. No, I mean, you're actually not needed. And when these conferences get fed up with you, you're going to be gone. The point is, they just haven't gotten to the point where they've decided, yeah, we have the perfect plan to rid ourselves of this. And it's just a governing body. That's all it is. That does, in fact, very little governing.
Right.
Yeah. If anything, I mean, before NIL, all they did was just say no. How can we empower the students? No, you can't do that. We have to restrict them in this way. And we want to make sure they're in school and studying, but we know they're not really doing those things, and paying coaches $7-10 million while your players can ask for extra jelly for their biscuits. Otherwise, they're like, it's just ridiculous. Right. All you were doing was continuing to, you know, let money pour into the same people who've always had those options. And like Kenny said, it's going to change. I hope it changes faster, but I mean, we're at a time where, you know, because we have access to social media, people can shoot videos, we can document the inequalities. Hopefully that will galvanize these athletes top to bottom. Again, collegiate down to up to the major leagues to take action. You are the talent. You are who we're watching.
It's a trip. We're having this conversation, and it didn't even dawn on me that the NCAA, like we mentioned earlier, they didn't do anything. Like, they didn't do anything to change the injustice that was going on. It's not like, yeah, we know we're making, you know, we had $11 billion TV deal from CBS. We didn't decide that we're going to let you in on that. We just said, if somebody else wants to give you money, we'll say it's okay.
Exactly.
We didn't let you in on that, though. We didn't let you eat some of that. Yeah, no. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's not like this was an original idea that popped into my mind initially. Like a couple of years ago, I interviewed the governor of California. I know you guys, I don't know if you're big fans of Gavin. I am. But he signed the Fair Pay to Play Act that wasn't going to go into effect until 2023. Now, he was a collegiate athlete at Santa Clara, baseball player. And he was like, all of these different states have to put these laws in place in order to get the NCAA to move, because it won't make sense for the states that don't do it, because then you're going to be separating these players in this way. So it was something that helped move, you know, those states that enacted these laws, it helped move NCAA in that way. But again, it's not as if the NCAA, like you said, did anything. They just stopped saying no. But we should still be pushing them to do something. And Bomani helped me remember that. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Olivia, Christian-1320, host and contributor here with us. Let's not bury the lead. Olivia was a point guard, which means you've been a leader your entire life. What do you think about the recent play of because we didn't get to visit with you last week. What do you think about the recent play of the Sacramento Kings point guard?
I think De'Aaron's doing the best he can. I mean, game to game, right? He's shooting the lights out. He's being aggressive. He's attacking the basket. He's His assists are up. I feel like he's got this whole other air about him since Sabonis and that trade came in, and he just feels, I think, liberated, and you can see that. So the Bulls game was amazing last night. You know, he hurt his hand. It was a tight game. They fought back. They got behind. They fought back. I thought De'Aaron was consistent, and I think it was difficult. I mean, he was showing us how painful it was.
Yeah.
I think, you know, sometimes you run into those problems, and he had a lot of turnovers, but I don't think they were all just mindless, careless things. I think, you know, sometimes stuff happens. He's still on the grind, which I appreciate. We've got more games in the season. Keep going. Don't let up. So I appreciate the effort that he's putting in. It's contagious for the rest of the team, I think.
In your opinion, Olivia, how can Fox play the way he's playing and still receive the criticism that he receives from some people? Is it literally just he can't do anything right for these guys? Because if there is other things that you think he could be doing on the floor that will lead to winning, let me know. I don't think there's not a whole lot more he could be doing that could change their win-loss record right now. He's doing a great job. Why do some people, just regardless of what's going on, how have we gotten to that point? Or regardless of what's going on, De'Aaron Fox is the problem and he is far from the solution?
I don't know. Haters gonna hate. I don't. If this is 1992, is that when that saying came out? Haters gonna. I don't know why.
I don't know, Olivia. You weren't outside, so that's what Kenny told me.
I mean, I'm saying I don't know what Cal Skate was in the Bay Area, but
in San Jose, it was called Aloha.
Oh,
I don't know why, but it was Aloha.
Were you couple skating at Aloha?
I'm sorry?
Were you couple skating with little guys?
I only got slightly attractive in the last 5 years. There were not dudes waiting for me to couple skate. Once I got my eyebrows waxed, my life changed.
You a wild one, dude.
But in terms of the hate, I don't know how you get around it. Some people are just destined and committed to hating no matter what. I know they want to see wins. Mm-hmm. That's, bottom line, they want to see wins. And De'Aaron can only do so much. He's got to have support on the perimeter. People have to make those open shots. But the league is full of, streaks. Sometimes they're hitting them, sometimes they're not. Last night they were hitting a lot. I mean, DiVincenzo, Off-White, he was like, this is my old team. I'm going to, work my ass off. Mm-hmm. So he showed up. But it's going to take support. And it's, I think I mentioned this. I listened to your interview with Ken Rudolph the other day. Mm-hmm. And it had me fired up. I think I follow him on Twitter. I don't know if he follows me, but I also read his tweets with a twitch of anger and
yes,
sarcasm.
That's really the only way to read a Ken Rudolph tweet is with a twitch of anger. That's correct.
It's always just abusive, and I'm like, you're nothing. I'm like, geez. So I didn't watch the interview live, so I went back, and I was amazed by his commitment to this argument there that you're talking about, Kenny. It doesn't matter. It's empty calories. He needs to be able to do these other things. And that's wishful thinking. We would love for him to be able to be that person who could also be the floor general that's aggressive, that's snatching people by the neck. That's something that I've been talking about the whole time that I've been on the show with you guys, is that the Kings need that kind of person on the court. But we have to live in the reality of the personalities of the players that are playing. He's never going to be that type of person, but he will grind. He will attack the basket. He will make smart decisions, 95% of the time. He's going to show up game after game. So we have to respect that. And then also understand that he needs support. He's got some now, but still the sands have been shifting underneath him since he came to Sacramento. So he needs time, and he needs consistency, and he needs support. And players who have found success have always had at least one other player next to them that they can depend on.
Right.
Michael Jordan wouldn't be Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. Kobe and Jack. There's always going to be that need for somebody there. And De'Aaron Fox cannot be all of that for the Kings and get wins.
Yeah. No, and I've said a number of different times, I was disappointed and critical of De'Aaron Fox earlier in the season because I didn't think he was playing up to his capabilities. I didn't think he was being the leader that this team needed. He's rectified those things. He's improved his game immensely and gotten back to where I think he should be and beyond when it talks about his production on the court. Some of the things I see with his leadership, the body language, the communication, taking a more assertive role out there on the court. Those are things that he has improved on during the season. And I look at that and I say, well, he's doing his job. He's doing what I know myself, what I asked of him. He's doing what he can do. Now he needs everybody else around him to take that to another level as well. And sure, maybe that's something that he has to figure out and figure out a different way to lead or build up the other guys or whatever the case may be. But I think he's doing about all you could ask of somebody right now.
The only thing I would add to it is don't wait until mid-season or after the All-Star break
Absolutely.
to start the match. Start the season with this energy, with this commitment. I think that's the last thing I would ask. I don't think he's going to step up and be that kind of aggressive teammate where he's, the loud general on the floor, but he can really speak and into the players by demonstrating his commitment to the team and his hard work from the beginning of the season and not waiting so long.
Yeah, I hope these dudes spend time together this offseason. I know some people think that's overblown. I know some of these guys spent time together this past offseason in Los Angeles and so on. But De'Aaron and Domantas Sabonis being able to establish a relationship together, hopefully Davion and Dante being a part of that as well, I think it can go a really long way into them starting the season with a rhythm rather than trying to establish a rhythm at the start of the season. I know you've got training camp and preseason games and you hope everything clicks there, but any little extra leverage you can get for what you hope is a very long-term partnership between Fox and Domas, I think that'll go a long way to how the team starts next year. The team collectively, not just De'Aaron, but everybody. Yeah.
And how they end this year. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't get those wins, if you're working hard together, you're building something. A mentality, the way that you want to attack the game. I think it started when they got, the new team together with that trade. It started then. All right, how are we going to finish the season? What kind of run can we make and build on that as we go into the next season? I think that's all we can really hope for. Well, we can hope for anything, actually. Mm-hmm. As fans, I believe you can hope for anything. There's no real way to be a perfect fan. But from the team, at least, it's about being committed to the process, creating a new process if you need to, but being committed to it all in as you leave this season and enter the next.
Coming up, we'll talk more Kings basketball. We'll talk more De'Aaron Fox. We'll talk Kings Celtics. And we got Give and Go with Maybach O. That's on the way as we continue here on D'Lo and KC. Brought to you by McQueen and the Violet Fog, the smoothest gin in the world, handcrafted in Brazil here on ESPN 1320. We were rolling, so I decided to skip the 13, take us to 28. We'll come back. The segment will be a little bit shorter. So we kind of did the long segment first and the short segment second.
Our guy, Ginger Vegan King, you are not Ben. You are not Mio. So I'm not approaching you like that. But just answer a couple questions you asked. Is Fox a Max player? Is Fox a Max player? Simple, yeah or no question. Yeah, he is. Yes. I mean, it's as simple as that. He's on the rookie contract, all that other stuff. Absolutely he is. Now whether you want to say the people that get the max contracts, deserve them or whatever the case may be, but based on how the rookie pay scale is set up and everything else like that, yeah, he's a max player. Absolutely. If he would have hit the open market, he would have got the max that somebody else could have given him. So there's a yes on that. And then he talks about, all the moral victory narratives. And at the start of the season, we said if it didn't make the playoffs, it was a massive failure. Nobody's changed that thought. Just because we come out now and we say, hey, I like the way this team looks or they're not playing that bad, that doesn't change the fact that this year is a failure. Not once have myself or Damian said, well, you know what? They're competing now. So I think I want to run it back and say that this season was not a failure. No, nobody said that, not once. So, I don't know what you want. I don't know if you want 4 hours of us saying everybody sucks and it's all De'Aaron's fault. Maybe that is what you want. That's not what you're going to get here. You're going to get intelligent, thought-provoking thoughts and opinions here, not just sweeping everything with a broad brush. These things are nuanced, man. It's not just simple, oh, they suck. It's more than that. Thank you.
Jackson taken to the woodshed. Jackson.
Now, Ginger Vegan King, that's my guy. He's
That's
cool.
Jackson. Yeah, that's our guy.
He's straight. He is not on the level of Ben and Mio. That's why I responded to him. I don't respond to Ben and Mio.
Let's get to what everybody really wants to know. Olivia, is Foxy Brown a music pioneer?
Pioneer?
Thank you. Olivia.
Participant.
Olivia. Before Kim and Foxy, you got your Cardis, you got your Nickies, you got your Megs Thee Stallion right now. Before Foxy and Kim, was anybody doing that? Were any of the female rappers being girly girls or being, sexy, having the Gucci, the Prada, the LV, all that other stuff? Is that how the female rappers were able to do their thing before those two?
Well, I think all of this is all of hip hop is an evolution. It's biting off of what was in front of you or behind you, and then kind of putting a little twist on it. What Nicki's doing is what Kim was doing, but a little bit different. I mean, her butt's bigger. I think Kim's butt is as big these days, but I think Fox.
Yeah, but it's not hers.
It's not. I don't think anybody has their own.
Well, she bought it, so she can have it. So I guess it is hers. But go ahead.
But I think of Foxy in that way. I think she has her lane, and I think she, built on the legacy of hip hop. But I don't know if she pioneered saying
who was doing it before
and like wearing fur bikinis. I think it was all just kind of an evolution towards those things.
I mean, maybe so, but they were the first. Nobody was doing it before them.
She can't have pioneer status.
No,
Foxy and Kim were on the cover of Vibe. You know what I'm saying? For everything that was going on. I think a lot of people don't listen when I speak. I never talked about Foxy as a better MC than Queen Latifah or MC or she was the first female to rap. Nobody said all that, but her style and Kim's style, which is prevalent today all throughout women who are rapping, they were the first to do it that way.
Okay. I don't want to fight. Kim.
Now, like I said,
maybe I'm just hung up on
it could be a little different because, like I said, you weren't at Cal Skate.
I was at Aloha. I'm older than you, though. I wasn't at Cal
Skate because Cal Skate was something different. It was. You want to talk about movie status, man? Go to Cal Skate on a Saturday night.
Does it still exist?
No, it's like a gym now. These kids, they don't understand the virtue of skating on a Saturday night.
These kids.
They don't get it.
The other,
her name was Inga.
Yeah. Inga's actually deaf. She went deaf for a little. I think she is still legally deaf.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you the other issue I had with Ken's interview?
Yeah. You want to tell? Because I think we might be coming back. You tell us when we get back. Okay. Yeah, we're coming back right now. That's how we'll get into this. Okay, here we go. Live on the Odyssey app, indeed. You could also watch the show on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320, and Facebook Live as well over on the ESPN1320 Facebook page. We're going to get into Give and Go with May back. Oh, here we need some music for it. That's what we need something.
Do we need Foxy Brown?
Music pioneer. This is a pioneer.
Home tonight, take your pick. Hot spot.
It has to be free music, so maybe it might have to be. That's daydreaming. For some reason, this record right here. This record's called "Feeding the Ducks." I don't know what to do with that.
The ducks.
But you had that's what it says. You had another note on our conversation with Ken that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, just in that, we've had this conversation before. You guys have both kind of posed a question to me about, like, as fans, should we be hoping for this? As fans, should we demand these things? And my go-to is always like, let fans be fans any way they want to be fans. put your heart and your hopes into every season. That's what being a fan is. So I took issue a bit when Ken Rudolph was talking about the mistake that Kings fans make. The mistake that we make is we fall in love with the guy and they're already living their dream. They're making their millions. They're in the NBA. You all in love with them, and he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your team. And what we should be focusing on is finding someone that'll help us win. And I just wanted just that point about how telling us how to be fans, I think is a mistake. I don't think there's a way to show your fandom other than not, beating your wife or your girlfriend when you lose the tournament or you lose the Super Bowl, because domestic violence goes up during those times of year. So in that way, don't be a fan. But in other ways, again, putting your heart and soul into a team every year, I think that's what being a fan is. And I don't fault Kings fans for having the faith and having the hope every season. And that was my point.
That's all you have. That's all you can have as a Kings fan is faith and hope, because they haven't given us anything else. The problem is, or not the problem, the frustration is often that faith and hope quickly dissipates and it becomes anger and frustration. And then you're looking for someone to be angry and frustrated at. And when the obvious target of Luke Walton is gone, then you shift it to Buddy or Marvin Bagley or both. And now that Buddy and Marvin are gone, you got to shift it somewhere else. And because maybe your favorite player was traded, you have shifted all of your attention and ire onto De'Aaron Fox. And for some reason, it feels like people have now begun to irrationally watch professional basketball in their evaluations of not only De'Aaron Fox, but Tyrese Halliburton as well. And it's the dynamic of being a fan. And the fact is, De'Aaron quiets this noise down, and this is completely unfair, but it's just the way it is. De'Aaron quiets this noise down next season if the team wins. If they don't,
comes down to
the haters, and they'll be loud. They're loud now. They'll be really loud if he starts slow, if the team is losing, if he falls short. It's going to be loud because their version of fanning is looking there. We always use the example of the Quaid, Randy Quaid, in Major League, in the movie Major League. He's the one. We suck, or the team gets good and they win.
Blow it.
We'll blow it in the playoffs. Like there are fans that are so, and he is that is years of suffering as the Cleveland Indians fan in that movie.
Yeah.
Kings fans have been through the same thing. And De'Aaron has to change people's minds at the beginning of next season.
Well, that's the whole evolution of being a fan. Like you said, the beginning of the season, you're likely hopeful. Mid-season, you're questioning things. Late in the season, you're hating everything, and the whole season was a waste. Most franchises and major league teams suck. They lose. There are only a handful of teams that keep winning and winning and winning and winning. So most of us as fans are in despair year after year, season after season, sport after sport. That is what being a fan is. Caring about whether or not they do well, it means you're a fan. And I'm fine with that. That's why I'm like, don't be mad at folks for putting their heart and soul into an individual or into a team. Mm-hmm. But also, I don't believe that people who become professional athletes, once they sign their check, their deal, or whatever, are like, I'm good, I made it. These are competitive people. That's the reason why they made it into the majors. Mm-hmm. They had to be grinding and wanting to win and wanting to stay in the league and wanting to make it into the highlights, to make an all-star team, to make the defensive player of the year, be named the sixth man. I don't think they ever give up wanting to win, especially because they've likely always won and they hate the feeling of losing. So I think players play for their team. They play for their city, and watching winning team, Magic talks about how much love he was getting in LA and how he loves the love. I think players want to be loved where they are. And so they may not be great at a press conference, which, maybe they can get a little training on how to handle the press. I don't know. But it doesn't mean because they don't have the right words or they don't show themselves on the court the way that you think they should, that they're not in it to win it. There's no way. I don't believe that you get to that level and you're done. It doesn't happen.
Right.
Jerry West just wanted to be loved. KC.
He was loved.
He was loved.
Love,
but he also wanted to win, right? As much as love he got, he's like, I want to win. I want to win this way too. It's not,
He had his own way.
He had his own way of winning. At the beginning of episode 2, that's for sure.
But
It was so hot in that room. I'm like, open a window.
Well, it was after the NBA finals. It was probably around June. It's hot. It's hot in LA around that time. You know what it is.
It's hot in LA all the time. Open a window. Put on the air conditioning. This is gross. I'm gross.
The other thing about that, though, that I always have a problem with is, the old phrase of not keeping the same energy. Like, if you're going to be around, it's okay to criticize De'Aaron Fox last night with 4 turnovers in the final 2 minutes or whatever the case may be of that game. He didn't close out the game right. That's fine. But don't go bragging about that when you're nowhere to be found, when he's putting 40 up on whoever he did, Utah, or, they beat Chicago and he closes them out there and he's playing well. Like, it's okay to be like, hey, this guy's playing well. People talk about I'm a Draymond Green hater or whatever the case may be. I have no problem. I've done it numerous times on these airwaves, on Twitter or whatever. Draymond was playing great this year. He was really contributing to what they were doing. He played really well last year. Hey, Draymond's playing. He's balling right now. You don't need to be no grand nothing, but when you're nowhere to be found, when things aren't going your way and your argument isn't being your argument isn't being represented by the play of that player, but one thing goes wrong and all of a sudden here you are, you're back on the Twitter, you're back on the chats and all this other stuff. That's when it's just not a good look. That's what I'll say. It's just not a good look for me, and that's not the type of way that I go about these things.
Well, I think context is necessary, right? Like, if you just say you had 4 turnovers in the last couple of minutes, like, oh my God, how can we win with something like that? Oh, he had one hand. And they were all getting smacked around. I'm sure Sabonis has to be like, I cannot believe this is how their referee during the Kings just gets smacked around, no calls right in front of referee. He has to be like, this is wild. Not only is he icing his knees, he has to go home and ice his face every night. And he didn't experience that before. But context is necessary, which is why, when the season changed, we made those moves, we had dreams, or at least I'm like, I think you should try to get into the tournament. I want you to have that goal. Whether or not it happens doesn't matter. But the trying is what, as a fan, I want to see. I want to see growth. I want to see some movement. I want the ball to move around. I want you to not let, these, mind games go on where all of a sudden you guys are on vacation and the other teams put up 10 or 15 points and you look around like, how did we get here? I don't want third quarter scare. I want them to be improving. Right. But context is important in judging players night to night. You have to tell the full story, or you're just a hater and you just want to start stuff.
Yeah, and that was super, super apparent last night. And it was either you're a hater or you weren't watching. And I felt more people than not weren't watching. They were either following along on Twitter, they were doing something else, so they were looking at box scores, and they wanted to be critical of De'Aaron without having, and that was, you used the big word right there, context. If you don't have context to last night's game, you don't have the story of last night's game. I
don't rule out the forgotten scenario of they just don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, that is possible
don't
as well.
There's a lot of people out there like that. They're watching the game, then they don't know what the hell they seeing or what they talking about.
I recommend those that are watching, or excuse me, those that are listening on the Odyssey app, or those that are listening on 1320 AM, when you're done with your day, head over to youtube.com/ESPN1320. Jesse does a great job of breaking the show down into chapters. You could actually click on what are in the live stream commercial breaks. So for the radio, it's a commercial break, but on the stream, we just keep talking. Kenny scolds one person after another for virtually the entire show. You can click on it and just click on the thing that says break and just watch Kenny scold somebody. Like, it is fantastic. It's one of the occasions where the commercial breaks on the radio show may have actually been stronger than the actual radio show here today. But this is always one of my favorite parts of the week. It's give and go with Maybach. The goods, the bads, the gives, the goes. Olivia, what do we got here?
Well, I want to dip my toe into baseball talk because I want
Oh,
to give me my MLB season. And
Yeah.
I remember a few weeks ago,
yep.
a couple of guys on here were telling me, nope, it's not going to happen. We're not getting a season.
That's true.
I don't remember who that was.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited. Baseball is back. But what can go is Aaron Judge becoming the new Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my!
Wait a minute. How did Aaron Judge catch a stray just now?
Wow!
What did he do?
I'm a Yankees fan, right? Aaron Judge.
Oh, man, Olivia right in the back with the steel chair.
It's on the vaccination stuff. That's what I
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, so he may not
Aaron
play.
can't play. Aaron Judge can't play home games.
Well, they're just like the GM is like, we're talking with the mayor right now. We're trying to figure it out. But there were, sniffles of that last year. People talking, are you not? And he's like, I don't really want to talk about it. I think we should focus on this season. And he was asked earlier in the week about it, and he's making the same, dodging the question. He didn't say that he's immunized like Aaron Rodgers, but it's going to be a thing.
It wasn't just okay, that'll be interesting to follow. I remember those rumblings now that you bring them up. I had completely forgot about him. I hadn't thought a single second about him, but I think the biggest thing with Aaron Rodgers is he used that line, but then he walked around with the privileges, and they were at the time, of being vaccinated. Like he was above all of it. That was like the most offensive part. It was like, dude, screw you. Like, you think you're above everybody else. Of course, that's nothing new for Aaron Rodgers. That's part of who and what he is. We'll see how Aaron Judge handles this. And of course, the answer to the question isn't to get the house in order and to get we're going to work it out with the mayor. Because we can't get it fixed within our own freaking clubhouse. We'll go work it out with the mayor. Now, the mayor of New York has some things to fix for sure, but God, what a cop out.
The mayor of New York is one. He's one, but just with like Kyrie, maybe Kyrie's the better example here. I don't know, but
it doesn't make sense. None of it
doesn't make sense.
Well, I understand the fact that if you're an employee, we have these rules, and these are the things you can and cannot do. And to make exceptions for these guys, these particular guys who, for whatever reason, have decided that they don't care what's in a chicken McNugget, but they care what's in this vaccine. I don't think they should be allowed to do that. But I also kind of want to get over it. Now that we have vaccines and we have things that can help people survive, of course, not everyone is going to. I feel like we're kind of in a different era of COVID. So it's not like we're in the same place as where we started. But I also don't like to reward people for being dicks. Am I allowed to?
Oh, it's out there now. Let it ride.
Let it ride, pal.
Let it ride. It's Dick's Sporting Goods. Just Dick's Sporting Goods. That's fine. Just let it ride. People have said way worse.
Okay, good. But yeah, so my give is the MLB season. My go is that attitude.
That's hilarious. I now I'm going to be following this because I have not thought a single second about that situation with Aaron Judge. So now you've got me locked in over there to the Yankees.
I forgot about it too. I got so excited. I'm following all the Yankees on Twitter, and then I saw the conference. I'm like, oh yes, I forgot. My heart is
and much like the Kyrie thing. So Aaron Judge won't be able to play for the Yankees, but he could sit on the first base line.
That's right.
Like that
maskless with a hot dog.
Maskless with a hot dog. He can sit right there. And that's it. They're ending up doing more, I feel, more damage than good, maybe. Not with what's going on, but getting people educated with what they should be educated with. Because some people are just going to see that and be like, wait, you want me to do this? But he can still go to a game and sit right next.
But do you reward the science? Do you reward the selfishness? I don't. And you
fix the mandate. I think the flaw. I think the problem is the mandate. Like why can't he? Yeah, right.
But everybody's an employee, right? For most people,
of the state, there's certain things. They're somehow their finances. I don't know how it's. It's just like with the Warriors. people who were playing or coming to San Francisco, they had to abide by their laws about who can come into a building and who has to be vaccinated and masks and all that stuff. And all of the players had to be vaccinated because they were, I don't know, again, regulatory wise, how it's connected, but for whatever reason, that's how it worked. But if you know that, I just don't think you can reward defiance. I'm just not into that. But I also want to figure this out because Aaron Judge is amazing.
You made the point is we're in a different era of this, and truthfully, we better enjoy it while we can because we really have no idea what, if anything, maybe nothing's around the corner. But history has says something is. So maybe let's just lift everything and get on with life for the next 6 months before it all goes back to hell.
Yeah.
Straight to hell. What's next?
Well, my give and goes, the rest of my give and goes have to do with the game last night. And I'm not just plugging my old show.
Nice. That's solid right there. Good work.
That show is coming back. That show is coming back.
I like it. Soon to be available on the. I like it. Let's go. Let's go. So is there anything we didn't touch on from last night's game that we need to dive into?
I don't know because I didn't listen to your whole conversation today. But my give.
No, I meant us. I meant the three of us. I didn't mean over the last 4 hours.
Okay, clarity. I love that they kept attacking the basket. I like that they were active on the glass. Give me more of that as the season progresses. Give me that aggression. Give me that because I think it helps with their offense. Defense breeds offense. I don't know if breed is the right word, but like when you're active defensively, it opens up opportunities for you offensively. And the Kings are better when they're not up against a set defense. If they can attack the rim offensively and they're, putting the ball back or getting rebounds, then it really opens up opportunities for that. And I think they did a good job of that last night. So give me more of that.
Alvin wants more of that too. I just think he wants a few more whistles when they do it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He stopped short of collecting a fine. He said almost everything you just said and wanted to throw in. It would be great if we got to the foul line when we did it. But they were not.
I wonder.
In fact, we're not.
I wonder what the issue is. Are the referees not being put up in a nice enough hotel in Sacramento? They all hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice too. They need to. I don't know why they're hating.
I don't know what that is. It's something though. It doesn't make any sense. How can you be consistently this bad no matter where you are in the country? It doesn't make any sense. But moving along, one of my goes, which is something we already kind of touched on, is the lapses. Those lapses where they seem lost, they go away from what got them to where they were, kept them in the game, and they give up, 10 or 15 point leads. And then they have to fight their way back into the game. And you can kind of if you're watching it on television, I'm sure it's the same in Golden One. Like all of a sudden everyone's holding their breath. Is this happening again? Oh my gosh, it's difficult to keep climbing out of these holes.
It's difficult, especially when it's predictable.
Yes, don't keep doing this. I know it's hard. There are a lot of teams this season who've given up big leads. They're up by 20, 25 points in the first half and they can't sustain it. And they, I understand that. But, the fact that keeps happening with the Kings is challenging. I am a fan of the whistle. Let's call a timeout and stop it. And I think Alvin Gentry did that last night, but they also didn't let it get too out of hand and they were able to find their way out of it. But let's just nip it in the bud. Let's get rid of that over Summer League. Let's figure out a way to not let those runs happen.
Yeah. That's 1320 host and contributor Olivia Christian right there.